Just know who you are. And with it all being, again, in perspective, if you can handle disappointment, you got to go beyond thick skin, thick
Mhm.
bones, thick blood. All that
Yeah,
has to
all that.
be, hey, I can be this emotional tank and I have the ability to stay focused
Mhm.
despite what I may be going through.
Welcome to Grab Coffee with me. This is the podcast in which we, catch up and over a cup of coffee. Today, I just don't have a cup of coffee. I'm at Ordea Country Club and the kitchen isn't open yet. So I do have some water. Today's guest is Maurice Jackson, the co-owner of Tavelo Brewing Company. Good morning, Maurice. How's everything going?
Good morning. It's just amazing because the way you just changed your voice once we started recording, I'm very excited where the rest of this is gonna go. Yes. I was like, maybe I don't have enough candles lit because I don't
You
have
did.
any of them. But this is
You did.
very silky smooth right now. I feel
And I can't punch all of
overdressed.
that. Hey, I can't punch all of that out. So I'm gonna have to keep some of that. That is
Yeah.
hilarious. But we've known each other for quite some time now. I'm thinking maybe 7, 8 years through the
Yeah.
Chichi Rodriguez Youth Foundation. At that
Great
time, you
program.
you you worked for Raymond James, and now I can't call it a new venture. It's been a few years now. But the Tavelo Brewing Company. Tell us.
Yeah, we're getting ready to close out in January. It'd be year three for us. So roughly 2.5, 2 3/4, however specific you want to get. And fortunate to have some early visible success that really helps motivate, keep going. Back to back winners of the Tallahassee Beer Festival. That's 100+ breweries. We won the St. George Island Beer Festival, and we host. No, we don't host. The city, Thomasville, puts on a beer festival, and hopefully, we hold home court. But we won that one last year, and that one's coming up again this month on the 25th. So for this really very relatively small, very tiny brewery out of another tiny small town to go into, and it's unfortunate that you have to use the word win
Yeah, yeah,
because you win, then somebody lost, and that's not
yeah,
really the spirit of the industry of these events. Everybody comes out, has a good time, drinks plenty of great craft beer from a lot of different breweries. We have consistently at this point won sort of people's choice, sort of where the majority votes. And that feels good. And it says that, all right, we're doing something right early on, and we just have to keep going, keep pushing through. There are so many references of, hey, any new business, you got to make it out of those first 5 years for you really feel out of the dark, out of the woods. So kind of at that halfway point, but just want to keep going, keep pushing.
Yeah, congrats. You mentioned Tallahassee. I know you're a FSU grad, go Noles, even though we lost this past weekend.
Yeah.
Very disappointed as a fan. But there's something that is going on there with their athletic program at the Velo, right? What's can you share
Yeah,
what's
that's,
going on there?
and you learn early on, especially you and the connections you have. A lot of times, not what you know and who you know. And then I think word spread. There's this brewery that has an FSU grad. FSU was recently coming out of a deal where they had an official craft beer and they were kind of looking for another, and had to be very careful with my wording. We're not the official partner. We're a proud sponsor of. So the all that to say that our beer is going to be served at FSU Athletics, starting with the great Doak Campbell Stadium. It's basketball. And then once we get through this winter season and the sun comes back out, it's time for baseball, softball, soccer, that whole little complex over there. We'll be over there. So that's very exciting. Again, it's very early on into this venture to have this level of success, whether it be perceived or not. It is a great level of visibility that can only help buoy the rest of our journey. I just have to just stick with it, keep the right mindset, stay humble, keep making the right business decisions. You don't want to do too much too soon, but we do feel very comfortable in the way we're kind of going slowly about, should we do this? Should we do that? And it's not just the FSU thing, anything and everything we do. It's just prior to this move with FSU, we were looking to buy more fermenters. We finally maxed out that space. So anything else, we would have to need a new building. But we're very excited about this growth. Again, how it's perceived: slow, quick, rapid, however you want to see it. We're comfortable. with the speed at which is happening, and it feels good. You still want to get up and go every morning and just say, what's that next step on the path to success?
So it's been great following that journey on social media. I feel as if we speak all the time, but I haven't seen you in a while. But
That's great. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we
Yeah,
speak through Instagram. But seeing that growth, definitely. I'm not a beer drinker myself, just like I know you're not a coffee drinker. Uh,
correct.
I promise you, I will have a can. But I have to figure
Yeah,
out how to get some of that. Whether it's you send it to me, or I go up to Tallahassee, one of the games, and partake myself. But seeing that growth and the early success, and there's going to be plenty more successes, that's going to come about as well. Great job. Who we have
Daddy.
there?
yeah.
Hello.
Oh my God.
Hi.
It,
Hi.
it
Oh,
helps if
I forgot to mention too that you're a
Mommy,
father of
go
yeah,
two.
away.
yes, yes. Yes.
No beer for
We're gonna
you.
punch all this out, but tell them bye bye, okay?
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye
Okay.
bye.
Go ahead, Bernie. Okay. Sorry, that
I
was.
love that. Let's
Yeah,
see. Let's
yeah.
see one of those cans. You have a can
Yeah,
around?
absolutely. And
Let's
then we
see
got a
what we
few
got.
different labels we're also working on. So
Okay.
this is our classic here. This is a light lager. And I don't want to get too far away from the points you were making because I think early on, some people, a great lesson to share with others is what someone else perceives as your disadvantage that you make your advantage. And one thing that I do want to make clear, because there's no reason to hide as I continue to grow and do these interviews, people get to know me. I don't drink. I never have.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I thought that. I thought I remembered that.
Yeah.
Just being at those golf tournaments. So, like, okay,
Right.
that's so how did this happen? How did this come about?
Yeah. I mean, the most truthful answer is nepotism. Because my wife, my lovely wife, Lynn Jackson, her Uncle Roger, we call him, he owned a retail shop called Hubs and Hops here in Thomasville. And I believe just at the time of being at Raymond James and then spending time together, he said, I'm very interested to see how interested you would be in joining me as a partner. And I said, yeah, absolutely. And there was never any fear or any doubt of not being familiar with the product, which is what so many people like to perceive as what would determine success. But I'll tell anybody who listens, I'm like, I'm not in the beer business. I'm in the people business. Beer's just a product. It could have been pancakes. It could have been used cars. I think I would still be me and still do whatever was necessary to deliver customer satisfaction. It's just that much easier with beer because I am, according to some, already a good time. And now here's to help you get to the level that I'm already at naturally. Um, when there is this question of, well, how do you know what tastes good? How do you, and I'm like, again, as a business owner, you need to not have so much bias in what's happening. I believe that is, and maybe the downfall of many throughout any industry of here's what I think instead of going with now with no bias. Here's what I know. This beer isn't moving. This one does. Good or bad, people are buying this one. They're not buying this one. So now it's not me trying to force a product on anyone. Like, no, I'm telling you, this is the one. Just because it may be a personal favorite. And also the running joke with anyone is that the supply is safe with me. So that is also the case. But now, had we been a honey bun factory, that'd be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
missing
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
In this
Exactly.
case,
Exactly.
it's just, and you just go where I feel, well, me personally, just go where my steps feel ordered. And I tell everybody a lot of times the things that I say or do or decisions that I made, I see them before they happen. And that may be a sports related thing, how many free throw routines or, hey, see that ball go in before you shoot it. So much of whatever you want to do in any, whether it be business, whether it be life, raising your kids, anything, yeah, you have to be able to see it prior to. And too often the issue is early on in your life where imagination is key or, just having that, quote unquote third eye open to where you can see things that aren't there. It often is diminished, right? Too often childhoods for different reasons have to become adulthood way faster than they should. So I think you would certainly attest, I would say responsibly, that I've always had this sort of childlike nature. Let's have fun. Let's do this.
Hmm.
I mean, everybody's very, I mean, even at the golf tournaments, yes,
Oh
this
yeah.
shit
Yeah.
is serious, but it's like, hey, guys, yeah,
No.
it's a
No.
day
We
off
have fun.
work. We're not going to win. Even if we did, you're going to get something material that the PGA doesn't say, hey, you killed it at the
Yeah.
GG Rodriguez.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
want to talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come play Augusta.
Yeah, yeah. So I think so often it's just a matter of helping others as well as myself stay and keep things in perspective. You know, even your worst day is someone's best, and all these things are temporary. So as long as you keep that mindset of not letting the highs get too highs or the lows too lows, still enjoy them. Enjoy these moments because they are so unique to you. But just to not get too far on one end and disrespect it where you can't keep a steady middle. Well, you should definitely certainly the lows. Don't let the lows get you too down. Have
Yeah.
some quick resolve, get back up, do what
Mhm.
you love, whether you're getting paid for it or not.
Mhm.
Have an income though. That's kind of
Yeah,
important
yeah.
these days.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
But just, just whatever makes you happy. Find that that's why I said stop seeking happiness and just find some intrinsic joy. Some many could be something as simple as reading. You know, yeah, I go to work, I punch 9 to 5, I come home and I read books. For me, that little one that popped on the screen, you know, everybody has their quote unquote why. That was my why and why not. Why can't
Yep.
you sit down? Why are you over there? Why is you in the fridge? What? So these a lot of my whys, right?
Yeah, a lot of your voice. Love it. Love it, love it. So what advice would you give someone that's looking to change career path, right? You went from
Yeah.
Raymond James to owning a brewery,
Mhm.
and there had to be some sort of, stress that came along with that, some angst. Um, Making that jump, what advice you wanna give my audience, those who want to make that jump from what they're doing now to something totally different?
Yeah. I think first, let me give you something practical. Have that nest built. Have something that if I don't have income for 6 months, we're good.
Mhm,
A year, we're good.
mhm.
2 years, you know, it gets kind of scary. And then to know who you are. Are you built for struggle? That has to
Yes.
if it's never come in life, you're not,
Yeah, yeah, yep, very
okay?
true.
If mom and dad carried you and took care of you, just be grateful for the upbringing you have. I tell people, I was like, it first of all, I'm not interested in the outpouring of somebody, like, "I only had X, I only had Y," because all that is still relative, but just know who you are, and with it all being, again, in perspective, if you can handle disappointment, you gotta go beyond thick skin, thick bones, thick blood, all that has to be, "Hey, I can be this emotional tank, and I have the ability to stay focus despite what I may be going through. And for so many, it's too easy to get off track when things get off track. So
Mhm.
something has to derail the train back on. Yes.
What trends are you seeing that most excite you in your current industry?
You know, it's funny, and to be honest with you, the trend is that these younger generations are drinking less. Yeah. The more they research, the more they find less and less. This Y, Z, all whatever you want to call them. The younger people get, the less they're drinking, right? Across the board. And so where I think others, and this is really just taking a page out of Warren Buffett's book, when others are fearful, that's when you buy in. So as I see people who are wanting to shut down and get, I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead. And I think that's uh, just a little backing up a little bio. I was raised an only child, but I have a sister, 10 years apart, raised by different fathers. And I'm sorry, she was raised by her father. I was raised by my great grandmother. Old
Okay.
school Louisiana.
Yeah,
Sixth
yeah.
grade Louisiana education is probably pre-K. That's kind
Yeah,
of me. But
yeah.
yeah, that education system, hey, we gotta do something. Especially back in the 30s. Like she was at the age where she had two different IDs with two different dates. And we were like, how old is grandma? Like we don't really know. Legally, how did this happen? I don't know.
Name.
Yeah. So I'm saying that to say that despite generations apart, you know, that was my sensei. That was my Miyagi. That was like, I don't care whatever we in. You gonna have manners and I'm gonna keep you humble. And that just really got me indoors. That money didn't. Seeing as how we didn't have money. And even that in itself really played a role in college because I initially left high school and was so grateful for those who got me to that point in college that I was like, education. I'm an education major. All these teachers that had a positive influence on my life. It's my turn to give it back.
Mhm.
I had one spring break, the very first one. Friend took me home who lived in Boca. I saw those houses. I said, "Yeah, we gonna
Yeah,
change
yeah,
this major."
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I said, "I don't think teachers live there, and if they do, they are not the primary source of income." So, we got back after spring break. That Monday, I was in the office like, "Hey, this ain't gonna work. Yeah, this is yeah, I want that. I want." And so then I became, an econ major with a minor in business.
Eh,
And I think that sorry, that's what I'm getting at is that I can quote a Warren Buffett because of a dozen years at Raymond James. I can say, hey, as you read a chart and you see these trends, what you can start to prepare for. Where everyone is seeing the dip or it's a bull season or bear season, all those things those terms we would use, you would say, hey, here's how we're going to get
mhm.
ready and prepare ourselves.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
exactly. Good stuff. So how can my audience support Tavelo?
No, actually, I think so many people think it's like, hey, I have to drink beer. And I'm like, legally, I can't even tell you to do that. And I think it's a little known fact, you'll notice it afterwards. Hey, you got to go there. Is that even in beer commercials, they don't drink beer.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're
I
right.
think some are aware, some are not aware. So really to support Zabello, I think if there is anywhere that you go and they sell craft beer, just tell them, hey, do you guys have Tabello? Because now, especially, I would think the majority of your audience at this point, as you continue to grow, and I certainly want to encourage you to see Grab a Coffee with Me becoming more than just a regional, statewide, then international. I mean, there's no reason now with the internet why growth should be limited in any facet. Again, Ian, as long as is what you want. I mean, you already have a successful business. You used to start probably just at Raymond James functions and then at other hotels. And as things grow from that. So certainly just see and keep that same path that you would like for Grab a Coffee with Me. But to support Tavelo, again, your local water and hole, whatever bar you're at, and now that we're in Florida, we'll be in more Publix, be at local grocery stores. We would do all the things we need to do to push and sell. And if you see it somewhere, yeah, absolutely grab it. Or you have a function you would like for us to be at, that will be tremendous to us. But I think for me personally, if you would just keep the trend of just being a good person, whoever that may be, I think that's the most Tabello thing you can do is just help this world as a whole by starting with ourselves. Just treat everybody else how you would like to be treated. Oh, but that is really what would do it for us as a whole to just have just more. I mean, whatever peace may be, and that's a relative term. That's certainly something that we could try to seek. Some happy medium, but again, it all starts with yourself. And I think if more people had, I think the worst thing in the world I've ever seen is just anxiety, insecurity. If we can all just be a little more confident in ourselves, not worry so much of what others may think or perceive of ourselves, and just be our own politicians, our own presidents. There is a voice already inside of you that says, hey, this is who we are. This is what we like. This is what makes us feel good. And as long as those things don't hurt or harm others, keep going with that. Hey, I like to watch fashion trends on TV. Or, hey, I just cook pasta 7 nights a week. I learned all the different pastas, Italian, rotini. All right, be pasta guy or girl. But just, if everybody had that light inside of them that they would just feed and foster and let it grow, and then it shines and grows in others. I think that is really the path that we can really take. But I think it's really just nurturing that good in each of us, regardless of what's been fed to us from the outside. So
Yeah,
what kind of
e
yeah,
exactly. And you're around a similar network, a similar crowd, similar people that I'm around, similar friends, and, no matter what race, creed, background, we're more alike than different. I say this all the
absolutely.
time. We're more alike than different. Embrace it. And when you have those lows, um, taking a page from Rory McIlroy this past weekend, handle things with poise, grace, and dignity, right?
Yes.
When you have those highs, handle it with poise, grace, and dignity. Life shouldn't be this difficult. I don't want to get this too deep, but life shouldn't be this difficult. And we all, and I hate to say this, but we all can get along. It's
Yeah, we
really that
can.
easy if
We've
you
seen
want to,
it.
if you want to, and
Right.
and we've seen it, we do, and our little pods, our little life, and our friend groups. But I certainly see in my line of work more good and bad, but you're not going to see that in the media, because it doesn't sell, it's not sexy,
It doesn't
but
generate revenue.
it doesn't at all, and that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about business and what generates revenue, and
Yeah.
being a good person does.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the other thing I try to tell people. I was like, I just try to carry myself in such that at some point someone says, "Hey, good guys can win. They don't all finish last." And I think one thing I've learned is that now in this era, this time, as much as you try to carry yourself a certain way or wish to be perceived, at some point, if you make enough noise, people will be able to Google you.
Yeah.
And what is going to come up? And that's, you know, there's certainly, the perception I can give my kids, like, oh, daddy's this, daddy's that, because they're going to think the world of me. But then, as there are websites that are legit, some that aren't, but enough things in life can happen to you to where if I type your name in, what does that SEO tell me about it? Regardless of my algorithm. So I think for me, as we continue to have success, just again perceived of winning beer competitions and driving sales, what hurts me the most is that the philanthropic side of Tavelo has to catch up with that. And a lot of that does come with more revenue, more time, get our things together so we can help others get theirs together. For me, it certainly is a goal and outcome. And as I say this, people start saying, yeah, I would like to have my own nonprofit so that it's like, hey, let's do these things on the business side, but we also have this side that just says, hey, it's more than just dollars for us because as the business grows and we get more into distribution, there is money coming out of different communities, however you wish to perceive it. But if we go into some place and say, hey, X amount of beer sold during this run with these special labels goes back to the local school district. So now what if you were drinking with a cause or just, and again, just being raised by a woman who was just full of humility, didn't know riches. So all these things that may come with that, it's just always foreign to her. And we just made it clear, like, I'm raising you. I don't care what other people say or do. Yes, I'm hanging your clothes out in the front yard. I know it's the 90s and no one does that anymore, but we're
Hmm.
gonna do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are
Hmm.
your underwear in that tree. People are driving by. The little ones with the heart on them. Yeah, that's yeah, yeah.
Hey, please, hey,
So
please,
yeah.
please tell me you didn't have no hand me down underwear, though.
No, no, well, that's I mean, that's the thing. As an only child, you might see some different disadvantages, but a lot of it was just it has taught me to stand on my own.
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
my wife, love her to death. You need that counterpart that sees those things in you that you don't. And one thing she said early on that I hadn't realized is she said, you don't need any validation. No, I
Yeah.
guess not.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah. Because, and I think so much early on, you start realizing, or at least for me, it's like, oh, so your struggle is not that different from mine. Or I mean, honestly, I don't know what audience you have here. We're gonna get a little risky, but until Jerry Springer, I didn't know white people had problems.
yeah. Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
Full
Yeah.
House,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
True.
all these other shows, Charles in Charge. If
Growing
something was going
pains.
wrong,
Yeah.
you sung a
Yeah.
song, you went to
Yeah.
commercial,
Yeah.
everybody was good.
Yeah.
And then Jerry Springer came out, I was like, oh wait, they like us? Yeah.
More like than different.
Yeah, yes. And so you were like, again, was profiting off of that, but it definitely helped bring into perspective that, this all these differences you may perceive is just what you're fed. And if more opportunities for us to just come together and hang out would just enlighten a lot of people to say, hey, like you said, we're far more alike than we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I just want to thank you for joining Grab Coffee with me,
Yeah.
sponsored by Dialed In Golf Solutions. And hopefully I get a chance to see you soon, whether you're down in the Tampa Bay area
Yeah.
or, I head up to Tallahassee or what part of Georgia? Part of Georgia?
Thomasville,
Thomasville,
Georgia
Georgia.
is
Yeah.
just north of
Right across the
Tallahassee.
border. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost like a suburb of it.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time, brother.
Absolutely, man.